wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and that's communication, how we communicate with each other on an individual level. I don't want this to be too rambly. I've recorded this a couple of times already, and it sort of went off off the tracks a little bit. um, but what got me thinking about it, I had a customer in the car a couple of weeks ago, and he's an 18-year-old lad, and I was talking to him, in the car for about 20 minutes, and we had a really good, quite a good conversation. And it was he was sort of talking to me in a way that he said he felt that he couldn't really talk to his dad. I mean, I'm similar age to his dad, but I was also talking to him in a way that is different to the way I talk to my boys. So I've got two sons. One is 17 this year, and the other one's just turned 13. And one of the things that came out of the conversation that I realised is when we talk about communication, we talk about we think I think we think about like I've got something I want to say and I need to make sure I can articulate what the themes that I've got and get my point across. Whereas I think doing this job, it's enabled me to do, because every conversation is different with every customer, and it's enabled me to really think about one of the biggest parts of the communication is listening and then responding to that point of view. So I saw a YouTube short just before I met this lad, and it was one of these like CIA blokes, and it was like, oh, is there a technique you can tell people that will change their life, sort of thing. And he was talking about the difference between perception and perspective. If I can find the video, I'll put a link in it below. And the way he explained it was, we approach every conversation, every part of every situation based on our own perception. But actually, if we started to think about those from someone else's perspective, so for example, if I'm talking to my 16-year-old about something, I will go into that conversation, I'm dad, blah 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 blah, and all of the preconceived ideas I have about whatever subject that is, is what it informs the way I approach that conversation. Whereas actually, if you can, for a split second or a moment, put yourself in the position of that person you're talking to and think about how are they receiving what you're saying, I think that's really quite a powerful thing. So one of the questions, I mean, I was talking to this lad, and I just said to him, because I mean, I think sometimes my oldest thinks I was born when I was like in my mid-30s, came out some sort of pod, but I was 18 once, but I was 18 in 1994, different world. So I just said to this lad, just what's it like being 18 now? Because I have no idea. We go, oh, I was young once, but I wasn't young in 2025 when everything that's going on. And he said to me, it's really freaking hard. Didn't say freaking. And he then sort of started to talk about how, where he has grown up from and where he's from. He goes to school in a different area, and it's been drilled into him over the years from his dad to make sure he doesn't sound like he comes from where he comes from, because he won't fit in. And I thought, oof. And then he sort of talked about, the things that he loves doing and he enjoys doing. One of those is rugby. One of those is playing the piano. But if he goes all in on those, well, he can't. He's got to make a choice between those. If he said he only broke a finger last year, which affected the piano playing. So he can't do both, but he was good at both. So, and the pressure on him from parents, etc., is huge to perform to these levels. And then obviously on top of that, you have all the social media images of what you should be doing and how you should be portraying yourself, etc., etc. So it was just really interesting conversation with a young lad, and just trying to get an understanding of his perspective on things. And that's something we just don't do, I don't think. So that was very close on his mobility scooter to my car. Um, I just feel that just generally as a collective, we just don't just ask the question of people and just say, you know, what's happening, what's it like, and try to get an understanding. We're so quick to just go, well, they're lazy or whatever, and, you know. But anyway, so it's really made me sort of question how I'm talking to my kids, how I'm communicating to my kids, and how do I get them to open up. And it's not going to be easy, and they're not going to talk to me in ways that they're going to talk to other people. But I just want to, I suppose, get some sort of dialogue going with my kids. I mean, we are quite open, and we do have a good relationship. It's better than it's ever been, um, which I'm really proud of. Um, but I suppose it's funny because, I mean, 5 years ago, I wouldn't even be having this kind of conversation, even thinking about how do I have a conversation, because it's not something that was ever. Um, I don't even know what the phrase. It's not something that I have ever seen before from an adult or a male relative in my life. Me and my dad had a very sort of distant relationship. Um, he never once told me he loved me. He never once told me he was proud of me. Now it's not me going, oh, I'm broken because my dad, but it's something which I'm trying to evolve the relationship with my kids with no baseline to work from. I'm starting fresh. And I think sometimes I was thinking about it, I also put pressure on myself to go, oh, I need to be the best I can. Well, I need to do the best I can. That doesn't mean I'm going to be the best. But what it also might do is me doing what I can will give my kids a baseline to work from that I never had. If that makes sense. I think it does make sense. Um, they will hopefully be able to look back and go, well, Dad tried this, but he could have, I think he should have done X, Y, and Z, and then at least it gives them something to build from, and that's something I never had. But I'm conscious that I never had it, so that I suppose that in itself is something to look at what came before and go, okay, well that I feel that didn't work, or that I missed out on that, and I'm going to do that differently with mine. So. And just obviously this new TV show Adolescence is out as well, and I mean I haven't watched it yet. Almost through being a bit scared to watch it, being little bit like, I suppose facing some of the subject matter head on. The talk about toxic masculinity, and the how. Actually, just asking my kids, what's their idea of a man as they grow up, or what do they see their future as? I don't. That's not a conversation we've ever had. I don't think. So yeah, there's a lot to think. There's a lot thinking about, really. Again, I ramble. I don't know. I've gone off on a couple of different tangents here, but coming back to the core, I think we've got to be more open to other people and other people's point of view. Now, that doesn't mean we should open the floodgates to got all sorts of weird and wonderful extreme um, um, perspectives or extreme ideologies, but we absolutely sometimes have to try, if not put our feet in their shoes, and just try and understand where somebody else is coming from. That's certainly what this job has done for me. It's made such a huge difference. Just meeting so many different types of people every day and learning different things and listening to people. Just listening. And then, if you need to challenge or a challenge comes up, actually start thinking about, how things aren't just an argument, but it's an actual challenge with facts and evidence. And I think that's something that we've lost, or maybe we could relearn that. I don't know. Yeah, look, we'll see. As ever, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.